On August 13, 2005, a girl from Hammond, Indiana disappeared from her home. The girl was 13-year-old Alexandra Anaya. She was reported missing 2 days later on the 15th of August, 2005. Alexandra Anaya had disappeared from her family home between 4:30 and 6:45 a.m. on August 13, 2005. Her mother, Sandra, had left home for a date, and her daughter was gone when she got home. On Tuesday, August 16, 2005, a 14-year-old boy who was riding in a speedboat with his parents on the Little Calumet River saw something in the water. It was a torso wrapped in chains. The Chicago police pulled the torso from the Little Calumet River, which was wrapped in chains and had been strapped down in the water. The torso was that of a girl's body, and the body was missing the arms, legs, and the head. The girl had her body dismembered, then dumped in the river. A week had gone by since Alexandra had not contacted her family, and the Hammond teenager was still considered missing. 3 weeks after Alexandra Anaya was reported missing, the South Bend Tribune and the Southtown Star released articles on the 9th and 11th of September 2005, claiming the torso pulled from the Little Calumet River was that of 13-year-old Alexandra Anaya, who disappeared from her home in Hammond, Indiana. The South Bend Tribune claimed that the authorities identified the torso to be Alexandra through her mother's DNA. The Southtown Star went into more detail and said the authorities took a swab from inside of Alexandra's mother's cheek to match the remains with her daughter. In both newspapers, it claimed the Chicago police had a suspect and they were taken into custody on Wednesday, the 7th of September, 2005. Hours after the authorities said DNA samples helped to make the match, the Chicago police searched the suspect's home, which was a southeast side house a few blocks from where Alexandra's remains were discovered. In the Star article, it claimed Alexandra's remains were weighed down with a heavy chain and a concrete block. The arms and legs below the knees were removed with a mechanical saw. Her limbs had not been found. A post-mortem examination showed Alexandra had injuries consistent with a sexual assault. On Sunday, September 11, 2005, the Times of Northwest Indiana revealed federal authorities had charged the suspect, a Riverdale, Illinois man, in connection with the rape and decapitation of 13-year-old Alexandra Anaya. The suspect was revealed to be Rudolfo Heredia, the former boyfriend of Alexandra Anaya's mother, Sandra Anaya. Officials had alleged Rudolfo Heredia crossed state lines for the purpose of killing, injuring, harassing, or intimidating his former girlfriend, Sandra Anaya, and her daughter, Alexandra. U.S. Attorney Joseph Van Bockelen filed an interstate domestic violence charge against 29-year-old Rudolfo Heredia and was expected to appear before Magistrate Paul R. Cherry within the week of his charges. On October 11, 2005, at 11:30 a.m., 29-year-old Rudolfo Heredia appeared before U.S. Magistrate Paul Cherry and pleaded not guilty to charges of stalking the mother of Alexandra Anaya. The indictment handed down in September alleged because of Heredia's actions, he caused Sandra Anaya to be in reasonable fear of death or serious bodily injury. The naked torso of Sandra Anaya's daughter, Alexandra Anaya, was discovered just 5 blocks from Heredia's home on August 16th. It was revealed by the FBI that Alexandra Anaya disappeared after leaving her home the morning of August 13th, after Heredia placed 5 phone calls to her home and her mother's cell phone. Sandra Anaya told the FBI she broke up with Heredia in the spring after Alexandra told her he had been molesting her since the age of 7. Sandra told the FBI that Rudolfo was violent and threatened to kill her if she broke up with him. Heredia purportedly began stalking Sandra Anaya after the breakup, looking into her bedroom from a nearby rooftop and entering her home with a key he secretly had made. After Heredia entered the home, he purportedly removed used condoms and confronted Sandra Anaya about them at work. He reportedly admitted to these accusations after his arrest. After the hearing, Rudolph Heredia's sister said she believed he is innocent of the charges against him because she and him were close, and she said if he did something, she would know about it. Erica Lopez of Hammond, Sandra Anaya's cousin, wasn't so sure. She had attended the hearing and said her cousin never told her of any violence or sexual abuse pertaining to Heredia prior to Alexandra's disappearance. In December, more information was released by the FBI regarding Heredia's violent past, and he was alleged to have told Sandra Anaya he was stalking someone who had shot him by videotaping the person, determining the person's routines, and then shooting him. Sandra said Rodolfo Heredia beat up his father on his father's birthday, broke into his best friend's house to obtain money owed to him, and, at a wedding, punched the groom in the face. Sandra said she witnessed Heredia punch a man, knock him unconscious, then pick up a log in an attempt to crush the man's skull before she persuaded him to stop. At Rodolfo Heredia's trial, which occurred in January 2006, a jury found him not guilty of crossing state lines for the purpose of harassing, injuring, or killing Sandra Anaya and her 13-year-old daughter, Alexandra Anaya, of Hammond, Indiana. According to Sandra Anaya, the jurors heard no evidence Alexandra was dead and that Heredia was a suspect in her death. Sandra said the prosecutors told her to lie and say she had 3 daughters, like she's not dead. 3 years had passed and Alexandra Anaya's case was still considered unsolved. Retired Indiana Police Lieutenant Ron Johnson, a 30-year veteran who helped jail notorious murderer David Moust, said he is still haunted by the 2005 slaying of 13-year-old Alexandra Anaya. 11 years had passed, and in 2016, officials during a press conference at the FBI headquarters in Chicago announced the unsolved murder of Alexandra Anaya would be investigated as one of the cases assigned to a new FBI Chicago Homicide Initiative task force. The FBI investigators said they believe Alexandra's religious necklace may be in the possession of someone who knew where it came from and were seeking any information relating to Alexandra's unsolved murder.
First, using new technology to find the person who murdered and dismembered a 13-year-old girl from Hammond.
The remains of Alexandra Anaya were found in the Little Calumet River back in 2005, just days after she disappeared. Eyewitness News reporter Ravi Baichwal is live with a new effort underway to solve her murder. Ravi.
You know, Cheryl, when you describe it that way, you can feel the chills in trying to understand what befell, the fate that befell this young lady so many years ago, more than a decade now. We're here outside the FBI headquarters where, indeed, there is a new, intense effort to get the word out that the FBI is on this case and that if anybody knows what happened in this situation, they're urged to call the FBI because this was a case that was never considered a cold case.
Many sleepless nights, and it haunts you after a while.
Flanked by Chicago's leading law enforcement officials, retired Hammond, Indiana detective Ron Johnson recalls investigating the 2005 death of 13-year-old Alexandra Anaya. Her dismembered torso, the only remains recovered from the Little Calumet River, remains that were weighted down.
The thing that sticks with you about this case is the gruesome way she was murdered. And the way she was found, it's not right that anybody should be treated that way.
A man charged with stalking her family was acquitted in a federal trial years ago. Now, through Alex's mother, who moved to Texas after the crime, investigators believe Alex's religious necklace could be in the possession of someone who knows where it came from.
Given the significant scientific advances in forensic testing over the past 11 years, we have submitted multiple items of evidence for resubmission on forensic testing.
The FBI is on the case with the CPD as part of a new Joint Homicide Initiative task force. Its members are revisiting people who were interviewed a decade ago, applying new investigative technology, and hoping a guilty conscience will yield leads.
Sometimes time works in the favor of ongoing investigations. And from my experiences from other cases, people decide to come forth. Maybe it's something that's weighing heavy on their heart, or they know information they did not feel was significant at that time, but now they may.
The FBI, CPD, and our law enforcement partners can and will continue to surge our resources, but it will be for naught if the community will not help us by providing information.
In 2018, the FBI offered a reward of up to $10,000 for anyone who had vital information on Alexandra's murder. In May 2023, the FBI increased the reward from $10,000 to $20,000.
Been 18 years, and a Hammond, Indiana mother is still looking for answers.
I'm never going to have her back, and I'm never going to get to see her again or tell her that I'm sorry or that I love her, you know?
In the summer of 2005, 13-year-old Alexandra Anaya went missing from her Hammond home during the night. 3 days later, her torso was found in the Little Calumet River. Today, the FBI doubled the reward in the case to $20,000.
I'm sure some people maybe were scared to speak up, and, you know, maybe now time has passed and maybe this will encourage them to come forward even more now.
It's a devastating situation for any parent to face, and then to not have resolution for 18 years, it's unacceptable.
Siobhan Johnson is a special agent and public affairs officer for the FBI. She says information can be given anonymously.
It's been an entire lifetime, and this could be the moment that someone decides to come forward and give us the tip that can change her family's lives.
Alex Anaya was in the 7th grade. She loved volleyball and soccer and wanted to be a veterinarian.
She always lit up the room. She's the type that, you know, we would go somewhere and she didn't say hi or wave. She always came and gave you a hug and gave you a kiss and just tell us what happened. I just want to know what happened.
Her mother will always live with the pain of losing her oldest child, but she hopes there can be more room for peace for her and her family if someone is brought to justice.